Let the Kirk Gibson era begin. Game 2, Dodgers Diamondbacks now. Just another day in paradise. Downtown Phoenix, Arizona, Chase Field. A big crowd, more than 40,000 expected tonight, of course. Happy 4th of July weekend, one and all. We trust you're having a safe holiday weekend with family, friends, and loved ones. Our baseball game tonight is brought to you by our good friends with Sanderson Ford. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers going head-to-head with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hello there, folks, and welcome back to the ballpark. Alongside Hall of Famer Joe Garagiola, my name is Darren Sutton. Joe, yesterday, a new era began for the Diamondbacks. They hope it's an era of winning. Kirk Gibson takes over as the skipper. I think a lot of us, we're glad to have you back, and we'd like to have your thoughts on the move.
Well, I saw some things last night I hadn't seen all year. I mean, by that, where the other team realized that the Diamondbacks were not going to play station-to-station baseball. Go to first, stop. Go to second, fill up with gas. Go to third, get something to eat, and then come home. They were aggressive, and I think that Gibson, that's the way he played. I wish you could have been with me and Vin Scully when we did that game when he hit the home run. When he walked out of down that runway, the park was filled with electricity.
And this is the kind of stuff you're talking about. This is what you saw last night. Mark Reynolds fighting a ball off, bunting the baseball, moving guys around, stealing bases, aggressiveness, as you said, no more station to station. Timely hitting was mandatory. Kind of a new edge to these Diamondbacks. And then listen, after the game, if you think there was an edge during the game, the manager brought it into the interview room.
I want them to have a better vision of who they are, not to who they've been reading about who they are. And I'll try and imprint that. And I'll take some things tomorrow and we'll look at it. That's what I'm talking about. It's just this game is really, it's dangerous, and that it can really, your mind is so powerful, but it can be powerful in the wrong way. So, you know, I don't know how good we'll be, but we want to at least try and make every opportunity to defeat that beast that wants us to really give up on our goals.
So don't believe everything you read, certainly, and obviously he called it a beast. The losing was a beast this year. So my question for you is, can an entire roster of 25 players, number one, defeat that beast of losing, and can they take on one man's identity?
I don't know about identity, but they can take on his habits. He had good habits. He knows how to win, and that's what he's going to bring to that clubhouse. Here's how you win, guys. You don't win just by runs alone. I've heard about chemistry in the clubhouse and all that. I don't believe it. What Gibson did in that one game was enough for me.
All right, certainly looking forward to have Joe with us tonight. We also have a new member of the coaching staff, Joel Youngblood, come to the big leagues. We will get to meet the new guy taking over at third base. Bo Porter is the new bench coach for the Diamondbacks. We'll explain it all, and it's the ball game, the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers.
All-American weekend here at Chase Field, presented by Sanderson Ford. Rodrigo Lopez goes head-to-head with Clayton Kershaw tonight. Game 2 of the series between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mark McClung with you on the field. It's been a weekend of transition for the Arizona Diamondbacks as Josh Burns and A.J. Hinch let go yesterday. Jerry DiPoto and Kirk Gibson taking their place. And today, Kirk Gibson rounding out his coaching staff. He was a coach short last night, but promoting from within, moving Bo Porter, as we take a look at the moves, in from third base. He will become the bench coach. Porter was the third base coach, and of course Gibson was the bench coach here under Bob Melvin and A.J. Hinch. To promote from within, they bring up Joel Youngblood from the minor leagues, a 14-year Major League veteran. He's been with the organization for 4 seasons as the outfield coordinator and base running coach, and he has our Geico quote of the game.
From one sense, it's very satisfying, because you see how hard kids work to get to this position, and to be a part and share it with them. It also means a lot to people that have worked with them in the minor leagues and they come up to the big leagues. Now you're able to share that experience on the big league level.
Youngblood is in tow. He's Kirk Gibson's right-hand man. What will Kirk Gibson and the Arizona Diamondbacks do for an encore? It's Joe Garagiola and Darren Sutton, the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, next on Fox Sports Arizona.
Ready for baseball on this Saturday night. The Diamondbacks wearing their Saturday black jerseys. Underway as Rodrigo Lopez, his 34-year-old right-hander, fires high and away. Rafael Furcal, Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, 1, 2, and 3 will set Joe's entire lineup here in just a bit. Diving play, Rusty Ryle out there at first to match up against the lefty. And that's a good way to start things. Let's take a look at Joe Torre's starting lineup, as we mentioned a moment ago. Behind the top 3, you have Loney, Blake, Xavier Paul up from the minor leagues. Manny Ramirez on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. Russell Martin, Blake DeWitt, Clayton Kershaw is on the mound. And, of course, Andre Ethier always plays good here at home. Plays well, I should say. There's the Hall of Fame skipper, or soon-to-be Hall of Fame skipper of the Dodgers, Joe Torre. That's a good way to start things defensively.
Great.
Matt Kemp, breaking ball, strike 1.
And when he caught it cleanly, too. I mean, there was no juggling or anything. It's almost like they're all auditioning.
It's funny, as Matt Kemp fouls it off, Ryle has kind of had that attitude every day he's been in the big leagues, that he's auditioning, and he takes nothing for granted.
Well, that's really the way you should be, even if you're a big star. but a lot of guys don't. A lot of guys kind of, well, I'm here and I got another day in the pension plan. It can't be too bad.
Has played first, has played second, played at third some in the outfield for the Diamondbacks. Kemp takes up and in, 1 and 2.
The great ball players, the good hitters, Musials, for example, when you knew he was starting to slide is when he lost a little bit of the concentration. I'm telling you, if he got a hit his first time, he had to have a hit his second time. Third time, look out. Fourth time, don't even talk to him.
The 1-2 pitch to Kemp is a fastball that stays up and away. A quick look at the numbers for Rodrigo Lopez this year. Brought to you by, delivered by the UPS store. That 4-6 record and the ERA truly not indicative, I think, of what he's meant to this team. Especially for a guy who had to make the club out of spring training. Breaking ball, fly ball. Justin Upton tracking, and he puts it away for the second out here in the first inning. Defensively, the Diamondbacks, you'll notice some changes. You'll notice them in the lineup as well. Gillespie in left, Young and Upton. A great night for Young last night. Reynolds, Abreu at short, Augie Ojeda at second, and Rusty Ryle is at first. Chris Snyder is the catcher. You won't believe where he's hitting in the lineup as well. And you can see Gillespie out there working, Augie Ojeda out there. Kelly Johnson a late scratch because he's battling flu-like symptoms. Here's Andre Ethier. But Kirk Gibson said it yesterday, Joe. All my guys are going to play. And I expect all of them to be on high alert every game, every moment.
Well, he puts Chris Young at the leadoff spot last night, and not only did he set the table, he cleared it off a few times. And Snyder, I'm sure, was a surprise to him, like everybody else, batting fourth. It could wake him up.
Bouncing ball, 1, 2, 3, go the Los Angeles Dodgers. Diamondbacks baseball brought to you by Gila River Casinos, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Sanderson Ford, Lincoln Mercury, and Volvo too. And by Southwest Airlines. Visit southwest.com. Grab your bag. It is on. Jerome, Arizona. Glad to have them dialed in with us this evening. Happy holiday weekend to everyone around this great state. Good crowd expected tonight. More than 40,000 on hand. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. And again, we warned you, you'll notice some changes. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Abreu bats second, Young back at the top of the order. Chris Snyder bats cleanup. Joe just talked about that. Rusty Ryle as a starter is a hitter. Cole Gillespie. And then Augie Ojeda, maybe the one that wasn't planned upon. Kelly Johnson battling the flu just a bit. He bats in the 8-hole. Chris Young to lead it off. There's Kelly Johnson looking on. We hope he feels better.
There were some things happened last night that didn't show up in that box score that really got, I think, the baseball fan thinking of what things to come. For example, Young leading off. He was supposed to set up the table like the leadoff man does. He cleared it a few times with the home run. He took Jackson out of the ball game in the 5th inning to give him a win.
Right.
And that had to be a boost. And tonight, he's got Snyder hitting 4th. Who knows what's going to happen there?
What are your thoughts on as of why?
I think it's confidence building. That, to me, is what wins games. It's not that thing called chemistry. I've said it a million times. Only in high school you get chemistry. You don't get it in the big leagues. And Gibby is one of those old-timers.
2-2 the count to Chris Young. He makes it clear, and he said this word at least 100 times since he started meeting with the media yesterday, and it's a simple word. It's winning. It's about winning to him.
Enjoying the game. Knowing how to play the game. That's the thing. I mean, when you listen to him talk, I said to him, listen, good luck. Who knows what's going to happen? But I will say this. All managers are interim. And they are, because they get fired and they move on. And he said, I don't worry about that stuff. And then he proceeded to tell me the difference in the mood he had when he was most valuable player.
3-2 the count to Young.
They win the World Series, and that was nice. But when in '88, when he was the MVP, he said he was the most valuable player, and he said there must have been 40, 50 writers there. But when we had the parade, it was 1 million people. He said that in the press conference. Winning brings the city together, brings the state together.
Buried a fastball in, little cut to it, and Young is erased. Let's quickly take a look at the defense for the Dodgers, working behind Kershaw, who is not a ground ball pitcher. The outfielders of Paul, Kemp, Ethier will be busy. Blake for call with a great arm. DeWitt at second. Loney is at first. And Russell Martin catches every day for the Dodgers. It's been a true breakout year for Clayton Edward Kershaw. 22 years old, 16 starts, 7-4 with a 3.19 ERA. Because there is a young man by the name of Ubaldo Jimenez in the Western Division, he gets lost in the shuffle, but this is one of the great young talents coming up in the game.
He's going to get lost for a while, but you'll hear about him.
He gives an awful lot of credit, just to finish your thoughts on Kirk Gibson and his attitude. Obviously, his family, his college coaches, his upbringing in Michigan, but it really kind of starts with regard to being a leader. And we'd love for you to reflect on him and your relationship. He gives an awful lot of credit to Sparky Anders.
Oh, Sparky was so different. I mean, there was no manager in the history of the game, I think, that would handle taking a pitcher out of a game like Sparky did. Sparky had a way. He said, I don't want them to talk to me. I want them to take that baseball and, like it was a fresh egg, put it in my hand, and I'll do the rest. And that's the way it was. Those guys would get lockjawed the minute Sparky walked out.
And you're starting to feel a little bit with Kirk Gibson, though he is a younger man and a more new age man. He still has a lot of those old Sparky philosophies. And by the way, that is a walk for Tony Abreu. That is a rare occurrence. That is just his 3rd walk this year. Patiently waiting out Clayton Kershaw as Upton takes a high strike with a slider.
Some guys get a walk, man, you think paralysis set in. Manny Sanguillen was like that. You know, most guys hit the pitch where it is. He used to hit the pitch if the pitcher threw it.
0-1 the count to Justin. 0 for 3 with 2 walks last night. That pitch is high. 1-1 the count.
Last night he pulled a rock. He knew it. It was a rock. He was daydreaming, and Martin threw behind him. But there were two sides of that story. Russell Martin watching the guys saying, hey, these guys, they look like they're awake. Somebody gave him an early wake-up call. And he was throwing that ball all over the place. He's going to be some player.
Yeah, these are two of the game's great young stars battling right now. Fastball, 1-2 the count. Gibson put it simply and without any judgment when speaking of Upton being picked off, when he said, a little bit of a lazy play. It lacked focus. I addressed the entire team, not just him, and we're done.
When you do it in front of the whole team, it's a whole different ball game. You don't call them into your office and say, hey, look, you know, it could happen to anybody, blah, blah. It was a rock. And he told them so in front of the team, and it's over.
Got him with a fastball, reared back. That's the pitch he leans on when he needs it most. Blows away just enough to one of the hardest throwing left-handers in the game.
Outside part of the plate, and he had it in a good spot, but I tell you, the speed of that ball is what makes the difference. You don't have that much time to react.
There are right-handers that, like we mentioned, Ubaldo Jimenez, that throw very hard. There aren't many left-handers that throw harder. As a matter of fact, there are 3 in the game that throw harder. And that's it. Here's Chris Snyder batting cleanup. Slider is down and in, 1-0 the count. He spoke of instilling confidence in a player that maybe seeking a little bit.
Well, you can tell a guy he's this, that, and the other thing, and he's ready for the dance, but unless you put him in the spot, it's not going to happen. Hitting fourth is a big boost to him. He ought to realize that, and it's Gibson who's got his neck in the ringer.
It's the first time he's ever started as a cleanup hitter in the major leagues. The first time. 2-0 the count.
His problem, Snyder's problem, is not to feel like he has to do something special as a fourth-place hitter. I've always said the 2 toughest spots to hit are leadoff and 8th place. 8th because you got a pitcher hitting behind you. And in deference to you, Darren, pitchers just don't hit. They get a bat and they look for the electric plug. Where do I plug it in?
Runner on the move. That was easy enough. Abreu gunned down, trying to steal his 2nd base of the year.
When they should run and why they should run. It's not to just say go and make it out. Understand? It's like understand the game, learn the game, take what's available. So, you know, if you have the green light, that means you got to start analyzing what makes you make it. Right?
Which we saw early on in the ball game, and it's a numbers game to you a little bit.
It really is. The catcher's throw, usually 1.8. Quick delivery by the pitcher, 1.5. And if you can make it from first to second with 3.6, chances are you're going to make it. The math doesn't really work out, but that's why those guys carry watches or coaches.
You always see a coach. It's either wrapped around his wrist or in his back pocket or someone on the bench, and that's what they're timing.
They're timing that. They're timing the delivery. And the interesting thing is, I think that the Diamondbacks, all the players, really have a green light now. Go when you think you can make it, and maybe he's got a no-go sign.
Well, isn't that what he was talking about there? One of the reasons is Loney has to count even up at 1-1 is to learn. I mean, he expects you to learn when to go as well.
And he's going to give the green light to guys who he thinks can make it.
Loney fights that one off the pitch, up and in, a fastball. Out and over, surrounding it, getting it back in. So James Loney, who had 3 hits last night, has another hit here tonight. He is not a home run hitter, but he is a hitter.
See him pull those arms in. It looked like it was going to jam him right at the handles. And Young gets over there in good shape, makes a good throw. Around that batting cage, you look at the good hitters, they always got a bat in their hand. Loney came out of the dugout with a bat in his hand, went in the cage with a bat in his hand, walked out with a bat in his hand. Probably sleeps with him.
You ever used to sleep with your bats, Joe?
I didn't have a bat.
Here's Casey Blake.
You know what they did? I'm not kidding you. You'd ask for a bat, and the clubhouse guy would say, hey, over at Pittsburgh, Kiner doesn't use those bats. Why don't you try his? You might like them. Musial doesn't use those bats. Well, you might like them. And then they ordered 40 bats from Musial or Kiner or one of the stars, and you got the leftovers.
Times have changed, haven't they?
I love it the way these guys now. They change uniforms every other day.
0-1 the count to Casey Blake. That one is low, 1-1.
We had two uniforms, a white uniform and a gray uniform. And if the hat didn't fit you, they taught you how to stretch it. Put your fist in there and turn it. Did you learn that?
Yes, sir. I learned that in the minor leagues.
Well, I was in the big leagues and learned it.
Oh, now they have machines that heat the hat and stretch it out.
Well, to heat the head is what they ought to do.
1-1 the count to Casey Blake. So it wasn't with regard to hats like this. I mean, you just didn't have your selection of hats like that.
Are you kidding me? A rack for hats?
Couldn't just go in and pick your own hat for the game?
No way. Because remember, I was on that famous Pittsburgh team that came out with the helmets. That was an experiment.
1-1 the count. And what did that feel like? Foul ball.
You had to wear the helmet on the bases, on the field, and catching. And they had the thick foam rubber. And catching, you'd sweat, and the foam rubber would absorb it. You get hit with a foul tip, you thought you were in monsoon season. Here comes the rain. It was brutal. And Charlie Krim, who was the funniest guy around, Charlie said to Bill Meyer one day, why don't you tell me you're going to wear those hats? I'd have hired a helicopter and dropped apples on your head. We had a team average of 206.
1-2 the count.
Now everybody's wearing them. But I tell you, boy, I've told this before. I know where to stop. Wrigley Field. Paul Pettit was running. Hit him right in the temple, but he had the hat on. Next day, man, every player, every vendor, secretaries, everybody had a helmet on.
Similar to what we see with the base coaches now wearing them for their protection.
You saw Bo almost get it last night.
Now Bo sits a little more safely as the bench coach for the Diamondbacks. Kirk Gibson's new, in this case, left-hand man. Congratulations to Bo. Interviewed last week for the managerial position with the Florida Marlins. The 1-2 to Blake, misses outside. 8 home runs, 33 batted in. Casey was 0 for 3 last night.
If you ever wonder about a pitcher's stuff, it's with the 2-2 count that he's supposed to throw the pitch he has the most confidence in as far as placement and speed or whatever.
If you run it to 3-2, that man may be going at first. If he's not going now, stays put. That may have been the best pitch. You were right on the money there. Fastball, he thought he had painted the outside corner.
Yep. Well, we might see him run now. He missed. Snyder tried to steal that one.
We'll keep an eye on the run at first and Loney. He's got 9 stolen bases, so runs the bases effectively. Good speed for a first baseman. We had him leaning, and now this is a right-handed pitcher and a veteran who's picked off 3 this year. As a right-handed pitcher, that's a pretty good number.
Well, when you come to a set position, if you come set and you cannot see the runner looking over your shoulder, you're just not coming back far enough. So there are little things that they learn pitching.
Loney takes off, bouncing ball, and it's a foul ball. Give him a changeup there, 3-2.
I'll tell you, it's so unpredictable what they're going to throw. It really is.
And I think more than anything, Joe, for this man really thrives on that.
A lot of pitchers really, when they get in spots like this, they turn out to be Tom Edison. They invent pitches.
Threw a changeup on 3-2. It was fouled off. Runner goes. A breaking ball back to the screen. So now 2 different pitches on 3-2. Neither one of them fastballs.
And Loney is saying, come on, do something. Something to hit that ball. He's running out of gas.
Really, the ball game is when Lopez is strongest. He has run into some trouble late in games.
He's made 2 clutch pitches here.
3-2 the count. Loney doing wind sprints.
He should throw over to first base, make him dive back.
There it is. Back standing up.
Well, I would have given a sign. Throw over there. Tire him out. Let the air out of the balloon.
And that's how it goes between pitcher and catcher. Pitcher can do it on his own, or catcher can call it.
Absolutely.
3-2 the count. Loney takes off. Threw him a fastball that time. 3 different pitches with a 3-2 count.
And he fouled them all off. Real clutch pitching once again, because of base on balls here. Nobody out, you'd have first and second. Way you stop a base runner is either hold that ball as long as you can until the juice leaves the legs, or keep throwing over there, making him dive back. Just simple little things. It's a cat and mouse game all the time.
Loney's going to be gone again. Here he goes. Fastball, ground ball under the glove of Ryle, and it trickles into shallow right field. Loney turns and picks up the baseball, moves on. Mariano Duncan was also behind him, waving him on. And he picked up Larry Bowa. Tough break there.
Looked like Ryle was going to make that play, didn't do it. And now it's first and third, and nobody out.
Not a bad pitch.
No, it wasn't. Outside part of the plate, pretty good piece of hitting because he went the other way. Tries to pull that ball as the ground ball double play.
Dodger fans have come out to play tonight. These Diamondback fans are letting them hear about it. Unlike energy in the ballpark, though, we sure felt it in that Yankee series. Xavier Paul replacing Manny Ramirez, who went on the disabled list. Pitch is high, a breaking ball.
I had a chance to ask Manny Ramirez a question I've had on my mind ever since I saw him. I said, have you always had the ability to recognize a pitch like you do? He didn't hesitate. He said, yes. I always know what's coming when I see it. And I believe it.
And that's the rarest of rare descriptions for a hitter, though.
Oh.
I mean, is that straight as the breaking ball drops in there? Is that straight eyes and brain working together, or is it his approach?
I think it's all three.
All three.
Everything.
I mean, he stays on balance like an Albert Pujols.
Oh, yeah. And look at that Dodger bench, all on the top step, watching the play.
They're in the middle of the infield. Reynolds even with the bag at third. Back to the screen it goes. 1-2 the count. The young man out of Louisiana. Joe speaking about Manny Ramirez. He had really been rolling. And he has to go on the DL. Hamstring injury. 322, 839. He's had a couple of injuries this year. And he's hit the Diamondbacks his whole career and again this year.
He's a special player. You ever get a chance to watch him play, never mind the hair and all that business. Watch him in the batter's box.
The 1-2. Fouled it off at the plate. It was interesting a couple of years back when he first came over. When you walk in and out, and you've done this, in and out of the visiting locker room, if you look off to your left up the back stairs, you can see the batting cage where the visiting team hits. I could see Manny. He spotted me. We actually made eyes. He said, you can come stand here. And I stood right in the doorway And he worked on hitting off a tee with that front leg lifted on balance. He'd hold it for about 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. Whack. Again, on balance on one leg. He's tireless in his efforts. It's not just his gifts, is it?
No, not at all. He's not lucky. He's good.
And the same thing we saw on the road. Albert Pujols out every day, 2:30 in the afternoon, long before everybody else. Trying to be a Pied Piper, bringing some teammates out with him.
It just doesn't happen. It really just doesn't happen. There is no magic wand. There's no Alice in Wonderland or dreams fulfilled that way. You work at it.
Runners on first and third. Breaking ball, want to know if he went around. Gary Darling says no, sir.
I met a lady last night who came to the ballpark and rooted for the umpire. This is Gary Darling.
Oh, that's great.
He says, my husband is working behind the plate. And you said some nice things about him. I said, am I glad I said him since I met you? He is a good umpire.
Well, it's the most thankless job on the field. And he, in this rare case, gets to have a home game. They rarely get to have home games, though you wouldn't know it by the crowd. A topper. Boy, they're putting some at-bats on him. They're making him throw some pitches in this inning.
When you saw that shot of Darling, he was really bearing down, looking, and he was looking at the pitcher because a balk at this time would be pretty costly. Now watch those eyes. There he goes. He's watching. And he's watching.
Down the line, that one goes. The at-bat rolls on. And you remind us, Joe, and all of our viewers, how early you can get called a balk. You can, as we've seen, be taking the sign and balk, as you said.
Oh, yeah.
So he gets a quick breather, then he's right back on. As soon as Rodrigo's back up on that bump, he's got his eyes on him again.
He'll zoom right in.
Three and two the count. 2-2. Check that as we see the scoreboard. You've got it right. You know those eyes. Drives him back.
He's made some good pitches, got a lot of strikes, but he's in deep trouble and he's trying to pitch out of it. A pickoff would really help him.
He's got it in his bag of tricks. It's interesting watching Lopez work. You see some of the mannerisms that you used to see when you watched Greg Maddux pitch. Delivery, how he comes to the plate, the way he fields his position as that one is in. And the bases are loaded for Russell Martin.
Russell Martin is one of the few guys on this Dodger ball club that'll first ball hit. Never mind the base on balls, and you should take a strike. Bases are loaded, nobody out. He'll be looking fastball or whatever pitch. I would think fastball, and if it is and he likes it, he'll have a pretty good cut at it.
Bases loaded. Martin takes a strike. We're not quite sure, by the way, as we followed along with the at-bat, if that was 4 that missed outside of the zone. We think that might have been ball 3 that was delivered there, but we are walking through it in the back of the truck in the tape room. Bases loaded for Martin. Just off the plate, 1-1 the count.
Got the fancy scoreboards in all these ballparks, but the umpires still got that little indicator in their hand, and they're flipping with every pitch.
The 1-1. Hopped up, and into the seats it goes. 1-2 the count.
Right now is the kind of situation you really like as a catcher, because you can either go get him on this pitch, 1 ball, 2 strikes, or make a pitch to set up the 2-2.
Which did you prefer, or did it change every time?
It changed every time. With him, I would go after him right now.
Infield in a few steps. He went after him. It's strike 3.
You don't get a good hitter out on a strike. You get a good hitter out on a ball that looks like a strike. That ball looked like it might have been up. It was in a great spot, and he got a big out.
The guys in the truck, they haven't pieced it together yet, but they look through pitch by pitch, and they think that's only ball 3. Now we've moved beyond. They know it was only ball 3 when he was sent on the walk.
Never used to happen in the old days. You couldn't even question it.
Breaking ball is high. 1-0 the count. So, as we can show it to you, we will, but, and we said it out loud. 1-0 the count. Reynolds on the cut of the grass at third. Line drive, base hit, right field. Upton is up with it. They will stop the runner to the cutoff man. Blake DeWitt with an RBI in front of Clayton Kershaw. He was 1 for 7 in his career against Lopez prior to this hit. Clayton Kershaw, 2 for 25 with 6 strikeouts. And they're talking about now the count. That one is up and away.
What can you do?
Well, you've gone past it now.
Yeah. It's old news.
Jack Al's about to deliver the news. David Parrish, part of the video scouting for the Diamondbacks, watching the game like we are, and honestly probably watching it even more closely. 1-1 the count. Bruce Dreckman, he handles things behind the plate. The home dugout as well. It got past all of them. And we'll show it to you. We're piecing it all together pitch by pitch. It was a long at bat. Reynolds way in at third now as that one is fouled off into the seats. Outfield very shallow for the pitcher.
Tell you right now, I would call for the curveball. He's had a good one so far, and I think he'll just genuflect this. He goes by home plate.
Let's look for a curveball here. Fastball is in. 2-2 the count.
I don't like to work on pitchers with men on the bases like we got here. Get them as soon as you can.
Jack Howell sharing with Kirk Gibson. But Mr. Parrish shared with him a moment ago what we're talking about. The 2-2. Back to the screen it goes.
Another fastball. Maybe he doesn't have as good a curveball as it looks on television.
It
you
looks
can't
good.
believe everything you see on television anyhow.
Well,
you
isn't
know
that the truth? I remind folks about that every night. Bases loaded. Paul out there at second base on a 3-ball walk. The 2-2. Doing the breaking ball. Brady plays it back and he boots it. Everybody's safe and another run crosses the plate. Paul moves to third, DeWitt moves to second, and Kershaw is on. That is an error on the shortstop.
He just took his eye off the ball. He was going to throw it before he got it. Watch him. In fact, he blinded himself. He put the glove in front of him.
Let's walk through that at bat. The man is at third now. Xavier Paul. Let's walk through the jack in the box, outside of the box. Breaking ball, ball 1. 1-1. 1-2. 1-2. Did not go. 2-2. 2-2. 2-2. Ball 3. Ball 4. They add another ball. 3 balls were thrown. And he stands at third now. Ever see it, Joe? I would
never saw it.
Really?
Never saw it.
My goodness. How about that, folks?
How'd you like to have a job where you got 40,000 people watching you, you miss one pitch, and the television nails you? What a job.
Bases are loaded. Reynolds in at third. Fastball inside. 1-1 the count.
Used to get some of the great answers from umpires. Where was that pitch? Wasn't any place till I called it. Shut up.
Well, now, wait a minute. They never told you to shut up.
Oh, are you kidding?
For a call with a 1-1. Breaking ball outside. 2-1 the count.
I used to have umpires that I don't think knew my first name. It's not a hard name.
No, it's not
They
at all.
always referred to my ethnic origin. Began with a D. Sounds like San Diego.
I figured I knew which one it was.
Oh, okay. Oh, I hated that.
Reynolds creeping in, having to respect the speed of Furcal, who drives it. Center field. Young going back. Still going. He drops it. Kershaw, we have base running. Kershaw went past the base runner.
We got an out there. They're going to have to make a decision. The guy at first base is out.
Now running past him was Furcal. Kershaw did not see that baseball, that it was dropped, and started to race back to the bag, and he was passed. Well, we've seen a lot in this inning. Passed by Furcal.
He's just said it. I didn't see it. I mean, this is really a Halloween inning. Got a glove on it. For a call. Whoa! Now he's both going back. They both made a U-turn. Can't do that.
So we have a 3-ball walk, and we have a passing without a turn signal. They are appealing if he missed the bag. The appeal there is, did he miss the bag? I'm guessing. Reynolds saying, what exactly are we appealing? Gary Darling saying, what exactly are you appealing?
What a game. The unpredictability of baseball.
Isn't that the truth, Joe?
You can't script this kind of thing.
4-0 is the score, by the way. Kemp takes a breaking ball for a strike. So does the second baseman get to put out there?
Closest infielder, I would say the second baseman, yes.
Give him a couple of RBIs on that one. Single with 2 RBIs.
Well, Kirk Gibson had nothing to do with that play, but for 2 games, he's had more excitement than Ringling Brothers if the tent got blown over. Gee, can you believe that? A 3-ball walk, passes the runner. Pitcher says, I didn't see the ball. Oh.
Bouncing ball, and it's a foul ball. 1-2 the count. Now, there should only be one error in this game, if I'm not mistaken. I only remember the one that was grounded out to Abreu.
You think they gave Young an error on that ball?
No, they clearly didn't. They scored it a single with 2 RBIs. But there's a second error out there on the scoreboard right now.
Give it an error to the scoreboard operator.
All right, 1-2 the count. High fly ball, well struck right field. Upton going back, and it's gone. Matt Kemp, home run number 14 on the season. The Dodgers lead it 6-0. That young man is strong. Drive a ball that far the other way.
One of the few guys that can go to either way. I mean, goes the opposite field.
Big speed, big power, great athlete. And the Dodgers are capitalizing on all this craziness. The 0-1. Fastball up and in, 1-1.
It's supposed to be a fireworks display after this game, not during the game, right?
That's what they say.
Oh, okay.
Outside, 2-1 the count.
Hit a ball that far, drive in that many runs, you laugh and cut up, and the dealer was dealing them out, and you say, deal of cards.
Well, they had it handed to them last night by the Diamondbacks. From the inside corner, 2-2 the count. Tonight the smiles are in the men in the gray uniforms. Andre Ethier, the 9th Dodger to bat this inning. High fly, shallow left. Gillespie coming on, still coming. Is there to make the play for the out. A wild inning to say the least. Kemp obviously capitalizing in the end. But you had ball 3 sending a runner to first base. You had, well, changing lanes without a signal, and then that. $1,000 enter to win a VIP All-Star Experience, compliments of Scott's. Gary Darling is the crew chief. He is out there at third base. You were speaking of him a moment ago. Bruce Dreckman is the home plate umpire. And the 3-ball walk, a topic of conversation, Joe, amongst many between innings.
Oh, man. Look, he's putting his head up there like a pitcher covers his mouth like somebody's going to do some mouth reading.
Matt Williams bumped into him. Explained what he saw from his perspective in the dugout.
Get the right guy talking to him. Williams at least a little patient.
Matty, I think, was ribbing him a little bit.
Should have.
The old Marine giving him the business. The scoreboard in the ballpark said 3-2. Now, as you said, they keep their own count. That ball a foul ball, and you can see the scoreboard go to 2-2. Snyder lifted, left field. It's a broken back base hit. Chris hitting just 211 against lefties this year is on as the cleanup hitter. He leads off with a single.
There you go, your fourth place hitter. Swing that bat. Can't hit unless you make contact.
And you can't come back unless you start with that first step and having to run a mile. Down 6-0. Kershaw's a pretty tough customer. Opponents hit just 207 against him. That good fastball, 0-1 the count to Mark Reynolds. His average fastball just a tick under 93. Francisco Liriano, John Lester, and C.C. Sabathia, the only 3 lefties in the game that throw harder on average. There's that fastball at 94. Look at Martin encouraging him. I don't mind you missing there with his catcher's mitt.
Well, he's pretty much of a whiner. That's a reputation he's got behind the plate.
Miguel Montero took exception to him last night.
Yeah. We had a little talk about him. I told him, I said, why do you even answer him? He's in your head if you start to answer him. He said, I said, he bothers you. If he starts talking to you, just ignore him, and he's going to get upset. He's going to talk louder. But he's a fiery little guy.
Miguel didn't want to hear any of that.
No.
He passed by him, and when he scored the run last night, right here, Russell Martin accused him of trying to tip off pitches from out there at second base. And the conversation went on. Miguel didn't like that he accused him of that. Today, he still doesn't like it.
No.
Base hit, left field. Mark Reynolds with a ringing line drive. He was 2 for 4 with a walk last night.
I'll tell you, Darren, make no bones about it. Russell Martin's not going to win the Mr. Congeniality contest.
Something tells me I don't think he cares.
He doesn't care at all. It's a good thing to get in the guy's head, the opposition.
All the runs, by the way, in that second inning are unearned. Ryle was given an error, just to correct why we didn't see the second error in that inning. The ball that Casey Blake hit to the right side, that Ryle was unable to make the play on. I didn't see it as an error. I'm not sure how you saw it, Joe.
I didn't see it as an error. He didn't have a chance.
But he was given an error, so that's the other run, or error, I should say, that we didn't realize. 295, 2 homers, 6 RBIs for the blue-collar Rusty Ryle as the pitch is high. 1-1 the count. Every time a Diamondback hits a home run this season, Fulton Homes will donate $150 to the Central Arizona Mountain Rescue Association. Fastball buried in. aforementioned Russell Martin puts it away. It's one thing to throw hard. It's another thing to have the ability to throw in when you throw hard.
He's got pretty good control of that fastball. His curveball has not helped him at all. Not even helping to set up pitches, but the fastball is alive. It's moving. He's throwing hard.
He really leans on it. I mean, compared to a lot of other pitchers, he throws about 3/4 of his pitches are fastballs. And you're telling us, I think, that everything else is a distant second.
No question about it. There it is again. You got that good fastball, man. You can pitch away from your mistakes. You can throw a low fastball hitter a good fastball, and he won't hit it if it's a good one. But if it's mediocre, you're 2 runs behind.
Out of Highland Park High School in Dallas, Texas. Still only 22 years old. There's that good fastball, 1-1. Still just 22. A 21 starts 2 seasons ago, 30 starts last year. Boy, talk about learning on the job. Again, beat him with a fastball.
That's the tough pitch right there. That ball looks so big when it's about letters up, but you never seem to catch up with it. Watch where this pitch is. High fastball. He rears back and pumps, doesn't he?
Timely hitting has been there for Gillespie. 269 over the top. Well, he got some help there with his breaking ball, and all he had to do was just literally throw it.
If you're looking for the fastball, and you shouldn't be looking for anything with 2 strikes on you, but anything's going to get you. Look at that.
I mean, literally, Joe, all he had to do was get it somewhere between the 2 batters' boxes.
That's about right. Martin blocked it nicely.
Here's Augie Ojeda.
You remember Dizzy Dean?
Certainly do. Remember reading about Dizzy Dean.
He was talking about a pitcher once, and he really said it all. He said, his pitches got a lot of up and down, but not much forward. You knew what he was talking about.
I actually know what that means.
Sure you do. Everybody does, I think.
But
not much forward.
0-2 the count, Augie Ojeda. Augie 5 for 36 this year. Came to work expecting to be a backup tonight. Got the start. Days like that for players like Augie Ojeda, they never wish that their teammates are sick, but they love the chance. Broken bad roller. Augie is done. So a couple of singles to start things off. He got Augie into the ball game, and he comes up empty.
relaxing about it at all. And, you know, like I told them, like, we want to be mentally exhausted after the game. Okay? That's the way we want to be. So when you don't have to be keyed up like that, then we have some fun.
Mentally exhausted. I guarantee you that first half there weren't too many guys who were mentally exhausted. Like they just come off a 2-week vacation.
Fair expectations, my goodness. Don't you think?
I don't know. I'm telling you, this guy, what he's got on his mind, he says, whether you like it or not.
That one is away. 1-1 the count. Well, you were there for his night of nights. I mean, the night that really kind of created who he is as on the world stage. We knew what kind of ball player he was, but this really set Kirk Gibson's reputation at another level. You and Vince Scully both. When he homered in 1988 in Game 1. What do you remember about that night?
I remember the whole incident. When he walked from the clubhouse and first steps on the field, the crowd, just the electricity was unbelievable. And he fouled off some pitches, some good fastballs, never got around on him. And then Eckersley threw that slider or off-speed pitch, and he really drilled it. And watching him go around the bases, you really had a feeling of, wow, this is a great moment. Next day, I said to Eck, I said, what in the world were you thinking about? What'd you throw? And he said, it was a rotten pitch, wasn't it? I said, well, I kind of think so, yeah. Outside part of the plate, if it was a good fastball, he would not have hit it. Look at this. I tell you, Darren, if he can get the feeling into this ballpark, it'd be nice if 40,000 were here every night, but whoever is here, the excitement, it's going to be just bring the city together, the state together, everybody. And boy, do we need it.
Blake Reynolds snags it on the backhand and throws it away. Ojeda tried to back it up. Too late. So Blake is on for the second time tonight. We'll see how they score it for the second time tonight.
That's got to be an error because he had the ball. Took plenty of time. Just couldn't reach it. Wanted to keep that foot on the bag, and it cost him.
Xavier Paul. Ryle another chance. Loses it for a moment. Throws it away. And did he make the turn? If he did, he's out. Yes, he did. He's out. Paul made the turn, and right away, Mariano Duncan saying you're going to have to either hustle back to the bag or you're going to have to take off for second.
Boy, this has been a game. It's been a nightmare for Lopez.
That is another error, by the way. Get back, get back. Yeah, you show intent to make a turn toward second. You have made that turn, and you are alive. That's not like running past or through the bag. It is all about your intent there. The ball had reached. And he reaches on an error. So 4 errors in the game. That error allows Blake to come on down and score. As of right now, that is 3 errors on first baseman Rusty Ryle. He goes down on a foul ball. Check that. That is an error on Reynolds and 2 errors on Rusty Ryle. They still haven't added that 4th error on the scoreboard yet. Oh, and 2 the count. 7-0 the score. Joe?
I'm trying to think of why it would get 2 errors.
I think they just gave him the 1.
That's all he gets.
He just gets the 1.
You can't assume he got to second base.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. You heard me thinking, didn't you?
I did. I was just asking for an explanation. And there's another error.
Whoa. Let's have a meeting on the mound. Leave the pitcher out of it, just the infielders. Somebody's got to break up this mood.
That is 5 errors in the ball game for the Diamondbacks. Rayu's got 2 of them. Ryle's got 2 of them. And Mark Reynolds has 1. That pitch is low. 1-0 the count. 7-0 is the score. The most errors since back in June of 2000. Blake DeWitt singled in a run, ground ball. Augie Ojeda turns it into an out. And a Bronx cheer for the Diamondbacks defensively as they come off the field. Is there a reset button somewhere? Anywhere? (1-800-INSURANCE). Save money now. AAA. There when you need us most. Sanderson Ford, Lincoln Mercury, and Volvo too. Want to remind everyone about the Luis Gonzalez bobblehead. All sorts of fun. Number 20 is retired on Saturday, August 7th during a pregame ceremony as well. To commemorate the event, the first 15,000 fans get a Luis Gonzalez bobblehead courtesy of Chase. 602-462-4794. We have a score to settle, says Captain Kirk. He was saying that yesterday about the Dodgers. Not quite sure what he's saying today. If he had to edit his post-game comments that he shared with the locker room and it was after a victory, he's got some serious editing to do tonight. Lopez, 0-2 the count.
He won't edit.
No, he won't. He will for us, not to them.
Not to them. I mean, he's going to forgive the errors. Some of the decisions that were made here are a little bit tough.
Good fastball. Lopez goes down on strikes. And it's made the knife tough for Rodrigo Lopez, who has been at least human tonight. I mean, he's given up his fair share of hits. But when you have to pitch around 5 errors, and you're a guy who pitches to contact, I mean, his contact rate is high. I mean, he needs his defense. By no means is Rodrigo Lopez a strikeout pitcher.
No, he's not going to pitch around that many errors. He needs somebody to whack a few.
Fastball in, and he fouls it off. This young man, for an example, is a young man who maybe could pitch around some errors. He's got that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but with a big old 7-run lead like he's got, all he's got to do is throw that good fastball down the middle and see if 8 gloves will make a play for him.
Seems to me he just shows the breaking balls. We take a look at our Amica Insurance hit zone. The hits for Young have been on pitches away, a majority of them this year. He'll still pull those baseballs even if they're away, in and out of the catcher's mitt.
Talking about that play at first base, Lopez and Ryle.
Out to third. Foul ball. Gary Darling says foul ball.
That's why umpires straddle that line. Darling is straddle the line down the left field line. See right there? That's what they'll do. Umpires have different ways of making plays, but there are some things that are standard. Called it right now.
Before the bag, that's the home plate umpire's call. Passed, how do you see that?
Got to be the third baseman, but I'm not so sure that to the bag it's the umpire's call at home plate. They do work together nicely.
1-2 the count.
Except on balls and strikes. It's tough to add up to 4.
Yes, in this case it was earlier. Part of a night that has us scratching our heads a bit. That breaking ball, he still hasn't thrown a real good one to Young.
And that curveball was up high. Why even fools with it? You know, Martin doesn't want to just keep throwing fastballs. Show him the curveball, but for strikes, you got to throw that good fastball.
Shown him 3 in this at bat, though, and then the fastball. The veteran Casey Blake shoots it on across. And Bruce Dreckman, the home plate umpire, we've been taking a peek down there. He doesn't use one of those. I guess you just call it a ball and strike clicker, just a counter
Indicator. I don't see it in his hand either. Usually it's in the left hand. He doesn't have one. He doesn't have one now. I bet he'll have one tomorrow or the next time he works behind the plate. I'll give him one I got. You've seen those, haven't you?
Certainly, absolutely. They fit right in. If you make a fist, absolutely. They kind of have a small diamond shape to them.
What do you mean diamond shape?
Kind of goes to the top. It fits right in your fist. A little bit of a point. Then it curves around.
Not that old one I got. It's just square.
Just a square?
It's just a square. Easy to read.
Click, click, click. You roll it over. Yeah. Base hit, left field. Tony Abreu. You think we should give it to Bruce?
You give it to him.
You don't want to?
No. I had my problem with umpires.
It is incredible, though, the point that we were talking about earlier, that you could have 40,000 here. A great crowd as I look up and around. A lot more watching at home on television. They can't really impact anything. But then you have the scoreboard out there, at least 50 deep, full of 25-man rosters on either side. And it gets by everyone.
Didn't get by you.
Nolan, our Fox box operator, Kurt Zacher, our statistician, was adamant. He was standing throwing things. That's not ball 4, Zacher said. Is that breaking ball? Boy, you better be careful up there. He has it fouled back. It's almost as if he's up 7-0, so he's working on it.
Wants the shutout.
You got a strike as it's fouled straight back. Fastball is up and in. Did you have a chance to catch up with Joe Torre before the game?
Yeah, sat with him. We talked about it old times. He's got a bad hit call.
Looks like he's a little under the weather.
Yeah, good guy. Good guy.
You won't see the way he started ever again, I would imagine, as a player manager. Back with the New York Mets in the 70s.
He's bounced around a little bit.
Meaning started his managerial career, of course.
He was a broadcaster. We worked together in Anaheim.
I certainly remember that. That was part of my childhood. The 2-2. In 3-2 the count.
He never used to be that guys would always pitch off the stretch. And I've often wondered, when they pitch off the stretch and nobody's on base, what are they looking for or at? Like now, it's coming off the stretch. And watch him. There's nobody in. Right? The guy's not going anywhere. First baseman's playing behind him.
That's ball 4. He's got a couple of runners now to worry about. He missed with his fastball. Mark McClure with a little bit more on the skipper for the Dodgers, who seems displeased with that walk. Mark?
Yeah, certainly Joe Torre breathing easy down here at the 7-0 lead as Chris Snyder steps in the box. But I had a chance to talk to Joe Torre about his time with you, Joe Garagiola, in the booth and his favorite moments. And really his favorite thing he said was when the two of you got together and determined the proper etiquette as an on-deck hitter.
That's a great show. I remember that one.
Snyder takes a strike. Do tell, please.
Well, I can't tell the whole show. I got to find that tape and maybe we'll play it sometime. But the last line was a beauty. He said he bought his young son rosin and a bat, and he hopes that someday he kneels in my footsteps. I started laughing, and that was the end of the interview. There it is, right there. Now they got this weight thing, pine tar rag. I've often wanted to see one of those detergent companies work with that pine tar rag. See if they can get that clean.
No chance.
No chances, right? Strike out tough things. Well, maybe the Purex people will come up with something.
Fastball, strike 3. Snyder goes down. Trying to clean things up tonight. This game's got some stains on it. Glad to have you back at the ballpark. 7-0 the score. The Dodgers on top of the Diamondbacks. That number is correct. 5 errors in the ball game tonight. Our AT&T trivia question: name the 5 active Major League Baseball starting pitchers selected in the top 10 of the 2006 amateur draft. Here's Clayton Kershaw. This gentleman is one of them. Clayton Kershaw. Oh, yes, that's a guess. The guys in the truck want to know. Max Scherzer is another one. There you go. He's picked behind him, I guess. Pitches high. 1-0 the count to Kershaw. Joe Garagiola, Mark McClune. My name is Darren Sutton. Trust your Saturday night has been a good one. Fireworks, they've already kind of started.
Huh.
But they'll go on after the ball game as well. A great crowd, huh, Joe?
Great crowd.
They're filling it up to the roof.
Yeah, a lot of activity. It's good. Just wish the Diamondbacks get something going here.
Well, the man who keeps locking them down is in the batter's box right now. Because that one is fouled off.
Darren, they have a picture of him on the big jumbotron headshot. You look at that face and you say to yourself, that kid uses a tweezer to shave. Look at him. He's got to show an ID to get in the park.
He does have that baby face. Now he's back in the dugout. He's only 22.
22.
In the big leagues for 2.5 years now. Well, who am I talking to? You know what it's like to be a 20-year-old in the big leagues.
I can't remember it. That's the problem.
And like that young man to be playing in the postseason in your early 20s.
It's a great feeling. I know what Kirk Gibson's talking about, too, when he says that.
Pitch is high, 1-0 the count. The biggest difference in Clayton Kershaw in your experience, as Qualls jumps ahead, is that you were suiting up with your heroes.
Yeah.
It was your hometown. We thought about you in St. Louis this past week. 1-1 the count. We didn't know where to go have dinner on the hill.
You gotta be kidding.
I told our director, Mitch Riggins, to call you, and he wouldn't do it.
There's a ton of places, man.
The 1-1.
Oh, there's Zia's, Dominic's, Anthony's, Favaz's, any of those places. You guys ate at Wendy's or someplace like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Because it was my treat.
Oh.
The 2-1. Drilled into deep right center field. Did he just go swimming? Oh, up and above that. Now it's in there. For Call having a huge night. He has crushed a couple of baseballs, one off the glove of Young in center field, and this is 4th home run of the year. That is somewhat diminutive. He certainly drove that baseball a long way.
There was not much deception on that pitch. It's a let-up pitch, and right down the middle. He knows it, too. Full swing, good follow-through, and there she goes.
Pitch is in. 8-0 the score. Call playing unbelievably red-hot baseball. He is now 26 for his last 53. And when you're almost at 500 and more than 50 at-bats, as Kemp flies to right.
It's a third ball he's hit to the opposite field. Talking about for a call, Darren. He also was the coach.
Right fielder upright here.
Andre Ethier digs in.
Scully, give me the big needle.
I did. I love nonverbal communication. It's one of my favorites. Deep right field. Andre Ethier just leaps and it's gone. It is 9-0 Dodgers on top. They are having their way tonight with the Diamondbacks defense, with the Diamondbacks pitcher. And Ethier has owned this ballpark. I'll tell you what, 94 hits in this ballpark since 2006, more than anybody else. And for Ethier, number 13 on the year.
High. Upton thought he had a chance for it. He gave it a good effort. Down he goes, but he didn't even come close. Boy, what a home run swing that was. Hit him that high. You have to hit under that ball.
I think Kirk Gibson's going to have to make a call to the bullpen. Rodrigo and Snyder got together on the mound. They spent a while out there. Snyder looked in several times after he finished his conversation. I think the message was sent to the skipper that my starting pitcher needs some help. All Dodgers tonight, 5 errors as well. Nine to nothing, the Dodgers lead it. Top of the 4th inning. Lane Boyer, the right-hander, goes to work. James Loney, with the bases all cleared off, digs in. 2 outs. Rodrigo Lopez didn't have help behind him defensively, and he got hit pretty hard. It was both.
But for Qualls had some night. Double, home run, coaching while a base runner. He's done everything.
The 0-1. Seven unearned runs tonight for Lopez. Most unearned runs by a starter this year. Kyle Loesch gave up 5 unearned earlier this year. Tolo Colon, last starter to give up 7 unearned runs in a game. That's one off the franchise record. We'll see how that changes. They might turn one of those errors back into a base hit from earlier. At this point, we're not really staking out the scoring section waiting to find out. But those numbers may change. The other way, base hit. And the Dodgers came and were meant to hit tonight.
That's like blaming the sinking of the Titanic on a drip in the faucet in the sink.
That's kind of why I said that.
Oh, man. Forget about that. Everybody with the blue cap on is having a great time. The other guys are just taking a beating.
Pitch is high to Casey Blake.
You know, when you're catching a game like this, you start to get feelings that, am I doing something tipping off the pitches? Why are they hitting him so hard?
You actually don't get to catch very many of them.
You're the safest guy in the park. Ball stops about 3 feet in front of you. All you need is some earplugs. You feel like a maitre d' at a restaurant. Table for 4 this way, please.
2-0 the count to Casey Blake. Broke his bat. Fly ball left field. Gillespie is there. He puts it away. 2 more runs. 9 overall. Very similar to what the Diamondbacks did to those guys last night.
Dodgers lead the Diamondbacks 9-0. Mark Reynolds steps into the box against Clayton Kershaw. Reynolds, for the last 6 days, has really been trying to make an adjustment, and it paid off last night with 2 strikes, delivering a hit the other way and scoring a run. It's actually, guys, an adjustment that Kurt Gibson had to make in his career, saying, I know that Gibson hit left-handed and Reynolds hits right-handed, but it's not impossible as a power hitter to start going the other way. My question to the two of you, as a former catcher and a former pitcher, when a power hitter can deliver a hit the other way with 2 strikes, how frustrated and how hard is that to stop?
It's very difficult to stop because you don't know if he's going to go for the long knock or the base hit. And Harry Walker, the Cardinals did that, ended up leading the league, hit everything to left field. Left-handed batter.
Reynolds, in going the other way with 2 strikes last night, proved how rare it is and proved that he plans to work on it. I mean, you see his hits by direction. Most of them are pulled. This is his 9th hit the other way. For me, Joe, as I look back upon that, and that's good stuff, Mark McClune, for me, what I liked about it, again, is it came with 2 strikes. He had an RBI situation. It came with, he's not looking to give himself up early, but it came with 2 strikes. That one is low.
The great Ted Williams always talked about when you got 2 strikes, choke up on the bat and just make contact. You never know where the ball's going to go. It's always a battle between the pitcher and the batter. No, it's a battle between the ball and the bat.
Outside corner, strike 3.
Once the pitcher throws the ball, hey, you put the bat on it, you don't know where it's going. You can't guide it.
Reynolds didn't have a chance. Or better said, like you just cleared things up, his bat didn't have a chance on that pitch against the ball. 1 out for Rusty Ryle. Ryle fouls it off. Well, a moment ago, they were having some fun at the ballpark. And we will talk about it a little bit later on. They were on our beautiful scoreboard talking about the racing legends. If you folks saw it last night, It was the debut of the racing legends. Ryle hits it on the ground to short. For call in time for the out, and they pointed out on the scoreboard that well, there was a little bit of hanky-panky, if you will, right here with Manny Ramirez. Throwing it off the Mark Grace mascot. Boy, the crowd had some fun with that. They brought it back up to the crowd, and they gave Manny the business tonight.
Really bothered him, too.
Oh, yeah, really upset him.
Oh, he had such a laugh.
He's probably ducking back into that locker room right now to find something else. Popped up the other way. Is that a Texas League? You bet it is. Crowd with something to cheer about. I'm told they found Manny. He's now in the stands. That's the fun thing about Manny, is that
there's another one.
Is that we can talk about, as we did earlier with Manny Ramirez and his hitting abilities and his approach, but then in the next breath or the next few innings talk about him throwing a towel at a faux Mark Grace.
He's a fun guy. He really is.
Augie Ojeda takes a strike.
He's got great ability. As we talked about earlier, recognizes a pitch, obviously hits it pretty well, but he has fun doing it.
Augie right back to the screen. Now there's a breaking ball, and he gets a strikeout.
But it was up, too. You're not going to win many games with a high curveball. You're backing up third a lot.
Is it Martin in this case just trying to work him through throwing a few more?
Well, he's got to keep calling for the curveball in case he gets into the game where he needs it. But he's going to rely on that good fastball.
There it is. It's inside.
Boy, he drops a lot of pitches, though. He really does. A one-handed catcher. I got to bring my glove next time I work.
Not a lot of space in there like these catchers' mitts.
Oh, no. I saw Montero's glove look like a first baseman.
One and two, the count. You know what I think we need to do at some point this year when you're with us?
What?
Dedicate a show to the art of catching.
No art to catching. You're a fat kid who can't play any other position.
Well, sounds like Joe just made the decision for us. We'll be doing it. That one is inside. 2-2 the count.
Seriously, though, a catcher is in on every pitch. He really is. And you have arguments on the mound, good discussions. You look at Snyder, and you just got to work at it. Don't go by the batting average. You know, just for my satisfaction, when we had a picture of those two guys in the stands with the hair, I think Dan Marley was right in front of them. Did you see
Really?
it? Yeah, I really do.
But he wasn't wearing a wig.
No, why would he? He's got good grass, man.
3-2 the count. Bouncing ball out towards third on a backhand play. On across, he ends it. Here in the bottom of the fourth inning. There, you were right. You were right. Look, good eyes. the 5 active big league pitchers, the top 10 in the 06 draft. Hochevar, Brad Lincoln, Brandon Morrow, Clayton Kershaw, and Tim Lincecum. Some of the familiar names right outside of that top 10. Max Scherzer picked in the 11th pick overall. 0-1 the count to Xavier Paul. That young man came out of high school and rocketed to the big leagues. And the Dodgers knew they picked a winner. Bouncing ball. Base hit.
I think Kirk Gibson's notebook is going to be filled with notes about the meeting tomorrow. Should have been a routine out. There he goes. He's writing it down. He's going to have a crib sheet.
Here's Russell Martin. Chop to the right side. Ojeda gets a base hit. Martin rewarded for putting it in play again. Just a high bouncing ball. No one there to make the play. That one just a break for Martin.
They've done everything. Home runs, infield hits, passing runners, not passing runners.
3-ball walks.
3-ball walk. Don't want to forget that. If this was a fight, they'd call it off.
0-1 to count to Blake DeWitt.
I mean, they're doing everything right. When they do something wrong, it's right.
Dontrell Willis starts to throw in the bullpen. Breaking ball, base hit. Left field. Mary Boa saying, come on down. Sliding safe at the plate. 10-0 the score. Blake DeWitt goes the other way. Pretty piece of hitting.
Curveball just hung up there, and he just went with it to left field. Waving him all away.
Boa's not about to show any mercy out there in that third base coach's box.
Can't.
0-1 the count to Clayton Kershaw.
I'm just going from memory, but last night, didn't they try to steal a base with the trailing by 7 runs? The
Yes,
Dodgers?
they did.
So you never quit. You never have enough. It's like the Cracker Jack box, man. You never get enough.
Bouncing ball. Abreu steps in the bag, throws, and a pick by Ryle. That time, even though it was awkward in coming together, it goes the way of the Diamondbacks defensively. Kershaw's erased. 6, and then on across 3 for the double play.
He's right near the bag, steps on it, and easy double play. Kershaw was running in slow motion. He wasn't even in our picture.
Well, now, the pitcher needs to take it easy. He's got to go back out there and pitch.
Hey, he's got 10 runs. How tough could it be to go out there and pitch? You could throw marshmallows up there and win.
I mean, still, though, the game should revolve around the pitcher, though,
Nope.
and his comfort.
Pitcher's comfort? Where are you coming up with that word? Pitcher's comfort.
My trust fund? 0-1 to count.
He didn't do that in high school, I guarantee you. Keep that arm warm. Tell him it's 109 outside.
Yeah, I'm sure in Dallas-Fort Worth he didn't have to do that much at all.
No way.
1-1 the count to Rafael Furcal. Stands about 5'7", and he swung it like he's 6'5" tonight. He is coming out of his shoes. Talk about what a slap hitter he is. He's been slapping it off the wall and over it.
And he's in the game every minute on that passing to the base runner when Kershaw ran past him. He was motioning, go back, but it was too late. I think Aaron lost a home run one time because somebody passed somebody. I'm trying to think. I can't think anymore.
Bouncing ball to short. Abreu to a knee. Throws it away. Around the scores. That is the 6th error tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Number 6.
I tell you, I don't know if Abreu knows how to do it, but he ought to call for a fair catch. Kind of sidearm that thing. It wasn't even close. Look at that ball sail.
You talked about it earlier in the inning. Paul reaching on a ball that wasn't an error, but should have been an out. On a ground ball to short. So a tough night for that young man and for his manager as he and his Diamondbacks are down 11-0. Don't forget to join us for our post-game show tonight. Quest Diamondbacks Live, and we will hear from that man.
He'll have something to say.
Pittsburgh earlier against the White Sox back on June 16th had the same error total of 6 in a ball game. This is tied for the most in one game by any team in the big leagues this year. And it is now a franchise record. The 2-1. Fastball in on the hands. Ryle over, under, out. He puts it away. Tough night for those Diamondback defenders. And that's an understatement. Brought to you by our good friends with Gila River Casino. And a great deal here at the Yard. This is Between Innings. Kirk Gibson down talking with Tony Abreu. want to guess? Because
I'll tell you what I think. I really do. I think what he's trying to tell him is, look, don't be afraid to throw that ball. Still want the ball. I mean, it's like when Steve Sachs was having all that trouble with the Dodgers and they asked Guerrero, what do you think about in the clutch? A tight ball game. He says, I hope they don't hit it to Sexy. You got to have that. You got to break that mood. Nobody feels worse than Abreu does. You say, well, he's a big leaguer, but he's human. He doesn't run on batteries.
Back to the screen it goes. Stephen Drew pinch hitting here against Clayton Kershaw. His knee has been barking a bit the last couple of days, but I'm thinking and listening to Gibson that he liked the matchup better with Abreu tonight against the left-hander, or I should say with Kershaw. And that's why Abreu was out there. Drew fights that one off. 11 runs, 10 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits, and 6 errors for the Diamondbacks. Lefty beats him with a fastball away. We'll do it again. Drew, Justin Upton, Miguel Montero, Adam LaRoche, Gerardo Parra were all out early before the ball game, hitting off of a pitching machine very early before a batting practice. As the 1-2 is outside, they threw nothing but curveballs. Working on hitting curveballs. Jack Howell was out there for part of it. He was doing work in the cage too. Fastball, not a curveball, but a fastball blows him away. Tomorrow, July the 4th, this one's for you, a special broadcast of the D-backs and Dodgers game. Fox Sports Arizona reuniting members of the Arizona National Guard stationed in Iraq with their loved ones during the game. Coverage begins tomorrow at 12:30. Brought to you by your local Valley Kia retailers. And with that in mind, we'd love to send a shout out to Gene Kraft in Claypool, Arizona, who is watching. Gene, we're certainly thinking about you back home now after battling heart problems. 90 years young, a welder in the mines as well as in the Navy in Pearl Harbor. So, Gene, we hope you're enjoying baseball tonight. We know you're a huge Diamondbacks fan, so this is maybe a tough one. But you know what? On this 4th of July, we thank you in part, certainly, for our freedom. Get well soon. That pitch is high.
Did you see where Martin was, where he wanted to pitch? He was on his knees, motioning down. And he threw it high and outside, way out of the strike zone. So his control has not been perfect.
Look at that reaction. High fly ball, very shallow center. Can't come in on. Stumbling as he gets out of the way is DeWitt. I just think going back to that Martin is convinced he's got the future of the franchise, the staff ace, and he's with a big lead. He's going to have him work on throwing his curveball for a strike with an 11-0 lead. Or am I off base?
Well, I don't say you're off base, but it's one of those situations where you may lose a game, but you don't want to lose a player in the doings. I mean, so he's had a bad night. You get confidence or lose your confidence to where you don't want to throw that ball or have that ball hit to you, you're in real trouble.
The 1-0. 1-1 the count. There's a breaking ball. Martin keeps calling it. Kershaw gets it somewhere close. Anytime the D-backs score 6 or more, Taco Bell gives away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink the next day between 4 and 6. Just got a piece of an off-speed pitch. Again, 1-2 the count.
That's about as big as the baseball looks to the Dodgers tonight.
Perfectly said. Curveball, strike 3. He keeps making him throw it. He's going to get it in the strike zone.
It's an experiment.
Play. We had the towel incident last night, so the likeness of Mark Grace had a big lead, but he was upset looking for Manny Ramirez. Couldn't find Manny anywhere. And we've seen Mark Grace get distracted like that before. And because of that, Luis Gonzalez cashed in. Ronnie Belliard, I didn't do it. No. Garrett Anderson, no. Where's Manny? No Manny Gracie. Manny's gone. Dontrell Willis, for the third time in his big league career, works out of the bullpen. Now remember, he worked as a reliever in the 2003 World Series and in the postseason when his team won it all. So he is now undergoing a big change in his career. The one thing we have seen, Joe, for the man who has missed so much out of the strike zone is against lefties, he has been able to walk about half. I mean, he's able to throw strikes and do a much more solid job. He throws the strike, but it's a base hit. Andre Ethier with his second hit of the night.
It's a mystery what's happened to him. It really is. Looks like he's doing everything the same, but he's always behind the hitters. That ball's going to get hit every time on the inside part of the plate to a left-hand hitter.
Willis with one walk against lefties every 10 plate appearances. Against righties, one walk every 5. Well, he's throwing strikes, but they're hitting him. James Loney with a base hit.
Well, you could almost bet that was going to be a fastball. He's going to try to get ahead of him. And you see Kirk is writing. He's going to need a tablet to write down all his notes.
Yeah, he's keeping track of the good and the bad and the ugly. And you're right, he might not need to switch it over to a notebook. He's writing a lot of that on his lineup card. He's got a notebook down below.
We'll be using a lot of those pages. It'll be a long meeting tomorrow.
Here's Casey Blake. Boy, Joe, back in 2003, this is a young man that had the world by the tail in Dontrell Willis. Rookie of the year, and he was a magnet. People were drawn to him. I being one of them, covering a pitcher like this as a visiting player or a visiting broadcaster. the joy, the bounce in his step, and he had more good years to follow.
Well, he had that same kind of feeling about him that Valenzuela, who's here broadcasting tonight for the Dodgers. I mean, you wanted to see the guy pitch. I mean, he's like a contortionist when he winds up.
Raised primarily by his mom in the Bay Area, in the Oakland area. Mom worked in a lot of skyscrapers as a welder, worked hard to make sure that he had a roof over his head and food on the table every single night. She was a great softball player, too, and he used to go play ball with her a lot.
You got to root for a guy like this. You really do.
That one inside. Now Willis goes down on a knee.
That was disappointment.
Dave Edwards coming out to check on him. He had some fingernail and toenail problems. Gosh, it was a couple of weeks ago in and out. Stoudemire Jr. as pitching coach out to take a look at him, and Dave Edwards of the training staff. And the bases are loaded.
He doesn't want out.
This game officially has had it all. A lot of good, unfortunately, and that's, I'm sure, what has that man frustrated.
Well, there's no place for a hero on the mound. I mean, you're the guy that's got to throw the ball to get him out. He's had such a tough time that starts, you're gone, he's gone to the bullpen, he doesn't want to come up with an injury now.
It's a funny thing you were talking about Willis, how you pull for a guy from his childhood and how hard he worked. He gets to this point in his career where for the last 2+ years he's kind of lost his way as a professional. He knows he is financially has no worries like he had as a young man growing up, and he does not want anyone's sympathy. He doesn't make excuses. When you speak with him in the locker room, he will be the first to talk about his shortcomings right now. And he doesn't want anybody's sympathy, Joe.
Sympathy's not going to get you anything when you're trying to throw that fastball and curveball. You got to break out of it yourself.
Hot shot, base hit, right center field. Compton get there. He does. Plays it on a backhand. Couple of runs come on down to score. The route is officially on. It already was at some level. Now it's full tilt. Sam Demel will start to play catch. Xavier Paul with a base hit. 2 RBIs. Runners on first and third. Pitch is low. 1-0 the count. Ubaldo Jimenez showed himself to be a little bit human in a ball game today. There's that one. Fly ball center. Should play another run. Tagging and scoring the 14th run of the ball game for the Dodgers. There's Casey Blake.
I tell you, my scorecard looks like I've been using a post office pen. I mean, I got scratches all over it. Can you imagine that? 14 runs, 13 hits. Oh.
And on the bottom end, 6 errors for the Diamondbacks. That's a strike. No, Jimenez, the Rockies ace, gave up his first ever grand slam. 7 earned runs. He didn't get the loss, but Colorado got him off the hook. They lost the game to the Giants 11-8. Breaking ball inside corner, 0-2 the count. This special young man, Ubaldo Jimenez.
Well, special pitchers, you know that.
Huge swing into the catcher's mitt it goes. There's a strikeout. A couple of other looks around the National League on our State Farm out-of-town scoreboard. Steven Strasburg went 5 innings. The young man gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, struck out 5 through 96 pitches. He left down, but K-Rod struggled in the 9th. 3 runs crossed the plate, and the Nationals won it 6-5. You can see Chicago beat Cincinnati and Atlanta beat Florida.
What in the world is that?
Well, he's just crushing that water. He's got a water on each side of his head he's drinking there. I've seen that in the frat house with other things in the bottles. You have to stay hydrated, though. At 110 outside today. Ever have a hat like that, Joe?
No.
You sure?
Positive. Had a helmet wore, but no bottles hanging on.
2-2 the count.
He's going to have to explain that with his friends. You know that.
Absolutely know that. Dontrell gets a couple of strikeouts, but 3 more runs cross the plate. He's staying in the game. Now around the rest of the evening, the Dodgers certainly have had plenty of timely hits, but they took advantage early of miscues by the Arizona Diamondbacks. 14 runs, you know it's not just theirs when 14 have crossed the plate. Rafael Furcal with the long ball. He also singled in a pair. Andre Ethier picking on a breaking ball. It's been a huge offensive night. They have cashed in as well. Rodrigo Lopez chased early, and 8 of the 14 runs are unearned. Diamondbacks 6 errors tonight, a franchise record, tying a mark set that's the most by any club this season. The Pirates, the only other team to do it. And then you don't want to lose, Joe, that the young 22-year-old left-hander has been very good tonight, Clayton Kershaw.
Well, just look at the line score. 4 hits for the Diamondbacks.
The man behind the plate, Russell Martin, has continued, as we've kept an eye on it, He keeps selling his pitcher on working on his breaking balls. They were ugly early. He always has thrown hard. 1-1 the count. High fly ball center field. That one is put away. Upton is erased. Quest high speed, internet high speed pitch. Kershaw touching 95. Lopez 89. You were mentioning about the catchers having to be in every play in the ball game. And as they get together here, very close to one another, Snyder and Martin, it's whether you're up 14 or down 14. That's the interesting thing about it.
In what way?
Because Chris Snyder can't check out. We're talking about it's coming our way. All right, down below. Chris Snyder can't check out.
Wait, I wasn't looking. I was looking at you listening, and I saw the way you tried to catch that ball.
How'd I do?
Terrible.
What are you talking about?
You couldn't catch a fly the way you doing after that.
Let's see. Landed about.
Where?
About down here.
And you had your hands like a rusty pair of pliers.
Like that, I was ready to roll.
Ready? That's what you were doing. Not ready to catch the ball, ready to roll.
Hey, listen, I could have been under here.
You should have been.
With some broadcasters at. Well, that's true.
Man, oh
No,
man.
not even an A for effort?
No way. I hope my wife wasn't watching that game. She won't let me work with you.
That'll be it.
That's it. It's over. It's over.
You know, it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot.
So have I. I learned you can't catch a ball.
Am I still allowed to call you, or?
Oh, yeah, call me.
Okay.
Yeah, you got my number.
No, but Snyder can't check out. I mean, obviously, we're talking about Martin and all the things he might be trying to do with his pitcher getting him through the game.
Yeah, but he's like the kid at the birthday party. The cake is his. He's going to have fun with it, and he's going to give out who gets the piece of cake. Snyder, he's hoping for some crumbs.
3-2 the count, if anything. Having caught on the other end of all these errors and these miscues and these hits, he'd love to get himself another hit here.
He'd like to smack one into the seats is what he'd like to do. He chased the bad ball.
A little bit more on Clayton Kershaw. Let's find Mark McLuhan. Mark? Did we lose him?
Yes, sir. Right down here next to the Diamondbacks dugout. Just wanted to toss an interesting, argument question your way as it pertains to Clayton Kershaw and Joe Torre going out to the mound and talking about the way he's pitched this season, saying that he's really done a good job of bouncing back from bad starts. Against Milwaukee on May 4th, he had 7 runs in an inning and a third, and he's leaving the game right now, so maybe we can continue this discussion about Kershaw going to the All-Star game. And if where he should pitch, where he should be in the rotation, and if with all the minutes should start the game. So we'll continue it after the break, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. 14-0. Kershaw is done.
tonight. And no runs, only 4 Diamondback hits leaves the game. And guys, is this a case of anybody else for the Diamondbacks hitters to see? Anybody else but Clayton Kershaw?
I would imagine, and we'll see how it turns out. The third out is recorded. Mark Reynolds rolls that one over. Joe Torre, 105 pitches. Gives Clayton the rest of it is on. Sanderson, Ford, Lincoln Mercury, and Volvo too. Quest high-speed internet, blazing fast speeds that won't burn up your wallet. Your Valley Hyundai dealers. Time now for the 7th inning stretch. Your dollar. Hyundai, now the most fuel-efficient car maker in America. Visit ValleyHyundaiDealers.com. Chase Field taking the light rail in. Mark McClune, Joe Garagiola. My name is Darren Sutton. Sam Demel takes over. We hope, just not tonight. It's been a tough night, no doubt about it tonight. But when you manage, as you well know, even the best of managers, no matter the team that they have or don't have, you never win every night. Not in baseball. How do you handle nights like tonight is your question.
I'm going to tell you. I'm an expert on that.
Sam Demel goes to work. Carroll, as that one is inside.
You just stick it right in the toilet and flush it. That's as easy as all that. I mean, just forget about it. You got your brains knocked out. You didn't do anything really that wrong. You made errors, part of the game. Forget about it. Tomorrow's another day. I mean, you can't worry about it. Because what chance have you got? 4 hits in 6 innings. They're hitting home runs. Umpires are missing base on balls. And as I said earlier, it's Halloween. Put the pumpkins out.
Jamie Carroll pinch hits. Gerardo Parra, by the way, is in left field. Cole Gillespie moves over to center field. Chris Young with the rest of the evening off. Bouncing ball. Rayu makes the play there. And the crowd lets him hear about it a little bit. The Cubs will be in town for a 3-game series starting this Monday, July 5th. Now, Monday is a day game, and if you have the day off or if you choose to take it, come on down to Chase Field for an afternoon of baseball. Monday's game starts at 1. Get your tickets by calling 602-462-4794 or log on to dbacks.com. Lou Piniella and the Cubs coming to town. Matt Kemp has been bound and determined to hit everything the opposite way tonight.
He's done it too. Oh, he flied to center field once, or popped to the first baseman. My 3 looked like an 8.
Homer to right field, and then a couple of fly balls to deep right. There he goes again. The other way. the base of the wall. Head first slide. He's in there with a double. My goodness. Making it look easy tonight. And it just isn't that easy.
16th double of the season. It's the 14th hit of the night. And there it goes.
Reed Johnson. Johnson hits .281. No home runs, 7 batted in. And that fourth outfield slot, maybe co-fourth outfielders when you talk about Reed Johnson and Garrett Anderson, but this is a guy who every manager he's ever played for loved what he brings to the ballpark on a nightly basis. Max effort player, plays the game the right way. And always finds work each and every year. Not a guy you can play every day, folks. But winning teams can't do without guys like this. Good pitch from Demel, 1-1. Folks coming in on a holiday weekend and on a Saturday night. Everyone staying for the fireworks. Joe and I were talking about it earlier. Huge crowd tonight. I mean, up to the rafters, folks are gathered.
That's what hurts when you have a game like this.
Bouncing ball, and it's a foul ball. You said it earlier. You have games like this. You 01 team had games like this. You 07 team had games like this. But when there are fewer wins lately these days and you have big crowds like this, you want to have a great showing.
Well, it's one of those games you're not going to lose any sleep over. You just got your brains beat out is what happened.
Pitches away from Demel, 2-2 the count.
Tough part of this game is that they scored 6 runs in the second inning. So they were out of Grand Slam country in a hurry.
Yankees scored 11 runs in the third inning in their ball game and beat Toronto 11-3. Toronto is disappearing in the East. Live by the home run and die by the home run, and the Blue Jays right now are dying.
Man, when they came here, everybody was swinging for the fences. I mean, shoestrings were popping all over the place.
Three and two. A little topper. Demel will back up. Lyle was headed after the ball and now has to get back to the bag. And so the runner moves to third. There's a second out in the inning. Miller Lite presents What's Brewing. The Dodgers tomorrow. Game at 1 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 12:30, saluting our troops on the This One's For You telecast. Cubs come to town Monday through Wednesday, and then a 4-game series with the Florida Marlins. Hanley Ramirez and his mates. A lot of families, a lot of kids. Fastball, he runs it in under the hands of Loney. 0-1 the count. Who has pitched away with regularity. That's where he sees his pitches.
Yeah, but you'd love to have him say he'll swing at every pitch that was right there. Boy, he would never hit it. That was a great pitch.
I'm talking about that last night. This is one of the newer members of the bullpen, Sam Demel, who came over in the Connor Jackson trade. He throws a cutter, not quite sure when he does. That was that first pitch he threw there to Loney. He's not meaning to. It's a four-seamer, but it runs in.
Don't think about it, just throw it. Where was that one, Charlie?
That was a two-seam fastball running the other way. One and two, the count. Snyder tried to frame that one up.
Get him on this pitch. He's got to get him on the 2-2. Put an end to this inning.
Sam pitched at Texas Christian University. Third-round pick a couple of years back of the A's. 2-2. It's a foul ball, runs it in.
You know the thing I miss about baseball, though, is chatter in the infield. You don't hear it anymore. I mean, it's almost like you got 5 robots or 8 behind you.
Behind the pitcher, encouraging it.
Yeah, you know, come on, throw a strike, get it over. You just don't hear it anymore.
You hear with the kids.
Oh, kids are great.
Here in college and high school, that one is outside. You used to hear it in the big leagues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and have an infielder walk up to a pitcher and say, throw a strike, make him hit it to me, I'll get it. That's the take charge guy. It's not like the guy now, don't make him hit it to me now. Hit it to somebody else.
Plenty of chatter in the stands.
These kids are waiting for the fireworks to go off.
3-2 the count. 2 outs. Runner on third. Nearly hit him. Again, do you swing if you ask if you're Snyder? Our umpires tell us it's based upon intent. He clearly went all the way around, but it's based upon intent.
That's right. I mean, that's no swing. Almost look at that guy in Dick Tracy, the Fearless Fosdick. They put a hole in him, you know? How could you come to a game dressed like that? Hey, it's a Halloween night. He's perfect.
Well, you said that earlier.
Yeah. That's the first time I ever saw a guy's face match his shirt.
The 0-1. 0-2 the count.
I never had that in baseball before.
You never.
That guys didn't come dressed like that.
See a fan like that at the Polo Grounds or Crosley
Oh,
Field?
Lord, no.
Maybe Ebbets Field.
I bet you if you blew that harness, the wax in his ears would come out.
That one is in. 1-2 the count.
Look at it. Don't worry, kid. Daddy will feel better after 2 aspirins.
1-2 the count. Got it with a breaking ball. Belliard goes down on strikes. Now it's time for the Valley Hyundai dealers 7th inning stretch. Your dollar.
blowout loss. What can a manager mean?
Unfortunately, games like this happen. Bigger issue. How does this team respond after a loss with a new manager in the dugout?
He's got lots to say. We'll talk about it on the postgame show, and we're anxious to hear from Diamondbacks manager Kirk Gibson. We'll send it back to you.
Well, always, certainly, after a win or a loss, he has been enjoyable to listen to. And we look forward to that after the ball game. Meantime, we move to the bottom of the 7th inning. Glad to have you with us tonight. As the right-hander fires it over the inside, 0-1 the count. Travis Schlichting goes to work. 3 games this season. Schlichting, the right-hander, drops a breaking ball that misses away. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Working out of the bullpen. Now, if you currently work out of the bullpen for the Diamondbacks, that one is rolled foul. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Joe.
Yes.
As you prepare for the bowl game for the Diamondbacks and you go out and stretch, you no longer stretch with the position players. You stretch down the left field line. The position players and pitchers have been separated in their pregame prep, a little bit old school. Kirk Gibson has set the relievers. They can hang out and stretch and play catch down the left field line down by their pen. The position players stretch out in front of the dugout.
Hey, this is not a Kiwanis meeting. It's a baseball game. I mean, you're getting ready for a game. You're not looking for good times and laugh and tell jokes. I think it's a good idea. And it's not a bad idea for pitchers to be running sprints between starts. Not tire yourself out.
Well, we saw that today as well. The entire bullpen during batting practice running sprints.
There'd be some guys that are moan and groan. But I tell you, what used to get me is to go in the clubhouse and guys would come in after batting practice or working in the cage, go right in the kitchen, get something to eat and watch as the world turns or whatever it was.
The only world that turns right now is his.
That to me is good.
Rusty Ryle down the line. These folks have something to cheer about tonight. Rusty racing on around. Good for them. Double for Ryle. But that certainly struck me today. The relief pitchers head down. The position players stay out in front of the dugout. Optional hitting, when I talked about the breaking ball, I'm putting big quotations around optional. It wasn't optional, the early hitting.
It was not.
He wanted you out there working on the breaking balls.
First guy I ever heard use that word was manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Oh, the outfielder. What was his name? Oh, come on, give me some names.
Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
We'll give you some names.
Dave Bristol. All right?
Got it.
They were in a losing streak, and he said there'll be 2 buses going out to the ballpark. Pitchers and catchers and outfielders on the other bus, infielders on either bus, and those who don't make any bus, they'll be optional. That's how optional it is. He was a dandy boy.
Oh, and 2 the count.
You know what he used to do? If he'd had an argument with an umpire, he knew he was going to have trouble that day. He'd eat a pile of onions. And when you talked to him, you could read what he was saying, man. He couldn't wait to get in an argument so he could get real close to the umpire and Hughes a lot of history.
Broken bat out to third. Ronnie Belliard throws in time for the out. Cole Gillespie is erased. Your first manager when you first broke into the big leagues?
Eddie Dyer.
What are your vivid memories of Eddie Dyer?
Oh, he was very serious. He didn't think anything was funny unless it was crossing home plate. He thought that was funny on your side. Bill Meyer was the manager. I enjoyed him, and we lost more games than anybody with the Pittsburgh club.
Why?
We had a bad team.
I mean, why did you enjoy him so much?
Because he understood. We did not have a good club, and they didn't expect you to do something you couldn't do.
Pitches outside.
They for Cavaretta. Stan Hack was a wonderful guy. Always had a great smile. I once said and got in trouble. See, it always looked like he was eating a banana sideways. Big smile on his face.
Off the end of the bat. In time for the out. Carroll shoots it on over. 2 outs. Joel Youngblood, the new third base coach, brought up from the Diamondback system, where he was handling the outfielders, base running instructors, roving instructor.
He's paid his dues. He's been around. Good baseball man.
And Bo Porter moves into that role as the bench coach. Wonderful opportunity for Bo, certainly. Remember Youngblood for his time. He played with the Mets in the big leagues, the Giants in the big leagues. Youngblood playing for 14 years in the major leagues. 76 to 89. You talk about intense. I was able to sit in on one of his sessions with all of his minor league outfielders this spring. Hard ground ball, and it's a foul ball. And in reflecting back on that session, how direct he was, and speaking of playing the position properly, focusing on doing the little things well in the outfield, literally just fielding a base hit ground ball as an outfielder. A young player might take that for granted. He made sure they didn't. Doesn't surprise me he was selected to be on this staff.
He's been through it. It's like catching a fly ball. A lot of guys one-handed catch or two-handed catches become passé. Terry Moore used to teach the young outfielders to catch it on the side you throw from. Get behind it and come into the ball, catch it, and boom, throw it. Guys now catch one hand, take it out of the glove, take 2 steps and throw. You've lost a runner.
Hara is erased on a ground out to Carroll. 14-0. The Dodgers lead it. 7 in the books, and a new man in the big leagues. Nice. The Dodgers with a couple of touchdowns and extra points converted. They are up 14-0 here on top of Arizona. Baseball's biggest stars go head-to-head for one spectacular night in the summer's biggest event, as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2010 MLB All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 13th from Anaheim, Orange County, California. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. And then next year, the All-Star Game here in our ballpark, Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona. Top of the 8th inning. Esperling Vasquez. Change up. Misses away. 1-0 the count. Ball is walked, reached on an air, singled a couple of times. Hops that one up. Snyder's going to give it a look. Leaning over the rail. Bounces around down below.
You got to get it in the strike zone, Pally. He's going to try to throw it in the sewer. Nope. He's bouncing it.
There's his home plate. Change
oh, up. Hello.
You better keep your eye on it, Dad. The 1-2. Over the top, Kirk Gibson last night speaking about as an organization, remembering as he was a young player and as a big leaguer, the goals he set and how he evolved as a player.
I can only say when I was a player, I was asked every year what my goals were, how many home runs I wanted to hit, or what my average, how many stolen bases you want to hit, and my standard answer was always I wanted to become a world champion. And I think that if that's your goal, you may not reach that goal, but it'll take you a lot further than if you set individual selfish goals.
Oh, 0-2 the count.
Boy, he's got a lot of good things to transfer. He really, really does.
Gibby once shared a story about being a younger player hitting a big home run in a ball game, regular season game. And as the media was gathered, he came in and they went right to his locker, and he had passed by from the corner of the locker room, and Sparky called him over before he got to that media group. He said, "I know that media over there to talk to you for your big home run." As that one is fouled off down the line. So now remember, kid, if your teammate there, Lou Whitaker, hadn't worked through a tough at bat, tired that pitcher out and earned a walk and got on base, your home run wouldn't have meant nearly as much. You might not even have hit it. So don't forget about your teammate, Lou Whitaker. Gibby walked over and sent the media to go speak to Whitaker.
Well, I don't doubt it.
Remembers that, the impact from Sparky Anderson. I think in a new generation, he will try to have a similar impact.
And he will, or the plains will be filled with former Diamondbacks. He's a no-nonsense guy. Everybody expects him to be a, Bobby Valentine or Billy Martin type. Not at all. I don't think I talked to him. Whoa. I don't know who that player was.
Popped up to the right side. I know who the player was scoring on the sac fly, though. Better go talk to Whitaker first. Glad to have you back at the ballpark. 14-0 the score. Hey, All-Star voting isn't over quite yet. From July 4th through July 8th, you can vote for the 34th and final player for each league roster. We're going to find out, by the way, who's going for the Diamondbacks tomorrow. Check in on dbacks.com on Sunday, July 4th to see who made the team. And this you get the 34th and final spot on each league roster. Chris Young is a possibility, certainly. Kelly Johnson is a possibility to be the Diamondback selected. Chris Young, with his 57 RBIs, has got to be strongly considered.
How about Dan Herron?
Dan Herron with a bat and with an arm. That fastball runs away. This is the resume for Chris Young. Well, what a difference a year makes. That's with a full season, and that's coming into tonight. 1-1 the count, Adam LaRoche. Do you like the All-Star game determining home field advantage in the World Series?
I do. You don't find as many guys looking for the 3 days rest. It means something.
It certainly does mean something, and I think it even means a little bit more as these managers fill out their rosters, though each team has to be represented. A base hit for LaRoche. And now Tony Abreu. Abreu's had that tough night defensively. He's walked, singled, and struck out. If you had to win a game for home field advantage in an All-Star game, and each team has to be represented, we understand that. But would a young man like Steven Strasburg make your team?
No.
That one is fouled off. Today was somewhat human, so he's 2-2 with a 2.45.
Well, he's going to make them if he continues like he has, but I mean, let's not go nuts for, what, 36 2/3 innings.
That's a breaking ball and a strike.
Would he make it for you?
No. And there are some that are out there that think no matter what, he makes it. Bouncing ball, and it's a foul ball.
I've always been a big believer that they ought to try to expand the All-Star game to where guys who are legends or icons or whatever you want to call them go automatically. People want to see them. I mean, like, I remember when Reggie was playing and he didn't have those kind of years. People want to see those guys and not take up the place of a well-deserved player.
That is a strike right down the middle. Abreu goes down on strikes. So it's interesting, if that were the case, this young man, I think, would qualify as someone that people really want to see play in the All-Star game.
But he hasn't pitched that much. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. Sure is a fun story, though, isn't he?
Oh.
He really is.
A couple of them. How about the Scherzer the other day?
Oh, 0-1 the count to Upton. Breaking ball 0-2 the count. Check Qualls warms in the pen.
As soon as the ball hits the ground, they throw it out. And yet, between innings, the umpire rolls the ball out to the mound.
And you can hit a firm ground ball to short right off the dirt and it stays in play. Hit a ball off the wall and it stays in play. That one's no longer in play. Another fastball right down the middle for strike 3. That's twice that hitters have caught themselves looking for something else, and Schlichting has taken advantage.
It's hard to believe that somebody would look for anything with 2 strikes.
It appears as if it happens, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I listen to you guys all the time. I mean, it's just, he is really upset, too.
I think you get so much research you can do, and at times there is technology and trends, and I think you can put yourself into that old phrase that is used, paralysis by analysis. These guys are good athletes. At some point, your instinct should just be allowed to take over and react.
It's Willie Mays. They hit the ball, I catch it. They throw the ball, I hit it. That's baseball.
That pitch is low. Boy, a ton of families and kids at the ballpark tonight. We love that. As Snyder chases that one.
Chased that low fastball. Struck out on it the last time.
Chris batting cleanup as a starter for the first time ever in his career. Single and 2 strikeouts as that one is outside. It started as a story, and it's somewhat inconsequential now. Oh, Schlichting, what an arm. Single, wow. Then he struck out the side here in the 8th inning. Years young. He threw 105 pitches in 5 2/3 innings, but you know what? That was plenty for Clayton Kershaw. He did his thing. His offense did their thing. The Diamondbacks defense, well, they contributed, unfortunately, in a monumental fashion as well. So Clayton Kershaw, the young man, about to improve to 8-4. Real good chance of being an all-star, by the way. Doing his work just up the road. He wouldn't even have to travel so far as a Dodger. Mr. Kershaw. Chad Qualls takes over because the All-Star game is in the home of the Angels in Anaheim, Orange County, California, where the man digging into the batter's box right now Made a living very successfully for a long, long time. Garrett Anderson against Chad Qualls. Garrett at below 200 this year, but has seen plenty of playing time. He's got 126 at bats. In all likelihood, this will be the final year of the career of Garrett Anderson. He looks at a big shift defensively. Came up as a baby with the Angels out of Southern California, high school in Southern California, Kennedy High School. Hot shot, base hit, right field. Picked on a slider. So now Jamie Carroll. I was talking with Qualls yesterday. A lot of these younger players, and you don't blame them, they were ready and hoping to move forward after there was a change in the manager's office and the general manager's office as well. I stood by Qualls by his locker and spoke about the tough year he has had. He said, I hope we do right by this new manager. He said, I can't help but feeling that if I'd have pitched well, whether or not we had a new manager or not, if I just would have done my part earlier on in the year, if we just wouldn't have a better team. And in fact, I'll take it a step further, he said, if I didn't impact someone's career. He said, no, I can't get stuck at that thought because I'll lose confidence for good.
He's very honest about it, but it's the truth. It's not the managers, it's the players.
Snyder loses that one. That was a slider. And unless he was crossed up, well, either way, I imagine it's a pass ball.
Has to be. There's that one hand again.
One and two, the count. Going with the rally cap. There's a gentleman that was hollering at Troy Tulowitzki here a couple of weeks back as that one is fouled off. But I admire the honesty, I'll tell you that.
I've yet to hear. I've been on ball clubs. We fired managers. Stan Hack replaced Cavaretta opening day, and everybody said, "Well, it's not the manager, it's us." Always is.
That one is outside,
especially now with the guaranteed contracts.
The 2-2. Calls of late, though, is finding that release point, finding that confidence again. I mean, he didn't even. I wonder if he came back too soon on the knee, if he had to adjust who he was. Chad Billingsley against Dan Herron tomorrow on Fox Sports Arizona, but he didn't even resemble at all the same guy. I mean, with stuff like that, it makes you wonder. Heavy sinking fastball, a guy who rarely strikes out in Carroll.
Keep in mind, Darren, that a coach in football or basketball or a manager in baseball, his future is with the players who are playing. You have no control over it.
Well, you said it best. There's a lot to be passed on. A lot of nuggets and wisdom and leadership to be provided. But that entire group we just saw over there, and this is an obvious statement, folks, I know that, they don't get to play in the game. None of them.
Well, take a look. None of them play. And they'll feel it the most.
All night long, he has gone to right field. Popped up to the first baseman. That was in the infield, but It's as if he just made a concerted effort tonight. I'm just not going to pull the baseball.
Especially on that swing. He went inside out with that one. That ball might have been a little bit inside. He just went inside out with it.
He's a gifted kid. I mean, that's a real kid there. I think I'm going to have to ask Matt if that was his intent. I'd be curious to know. That final swing, I think, sold it for me, Joe.
I'm sure that he had his mind made up. He was going to go to the opposite field, keep him over swinging. He had an idea, and it paid off for him.
He had an interesting week, Mr. Kemp. He had a disagreement with his bench coach. They couldn't quite, shall we say, come to terms. So the manager, in support of the bench coach, had Kemp watch a few games. Bob Schaefer, the bench coach. And once Kemp came around and shared with Joe Torre and Bob Schaefer that he understood, he was right back in that starting line. One and two, the count. But both of those gentlemen made sure, Joe, that it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't for us to worry about.
See the watch in Schaefer's hands?
You were talking about that earlier. Qualls with a slider and a very clean inning after the single by Garrett Anderson. One last chance to the bottom of the ninth we go. If you would like to send a message of support to our troops, log on to foxsportsarizona.com. We'll air those messages during our This One's For You broadcast of the D-backs Dodgers game tomorrow, July 4th. Show the troops you care. Jonathan Broxton looking for a little bit of work. 14-0 is the score. This young man, about 290 pounds, of just hard-throwing Georgia fastball and slider. tougher closers in the game to deal with. .6'4", 295 has always worn number 51 in the major leagues. Uh-oh. Russell Martin has it knocked off.
Boy, that'll ring your bell, I'll tell you. Came straight back. Watch that ball go off that mask. Right there, he doesn't know what hit him.
Oh, and 1 the count.
And the equipment is 250% at least better than it used to be. I mean, look at that mask. I remember when Yogi got hit with the mask, it broke his nose. In the big leagues.
The mask hit him and broke his nose.
The ball hit the mask and broke his nose. Yeah.
High fly ball right field. Reynolds out of here. He got a big home run against Broxton last year. Another $150 to the Arizona Mountain Rescue Association, courtesy of our good friends with Fulton Homes. Now this one not a huge home run because they won't make a difference in the ball game. But 14-1, they break up the shutout. Man, is he strong to do that.
Oh, man, that sound of that ball hitting that bat, you knew it was gone. It just has a great sound, a different sound.
This is what Joe's talking about, folks. Listen. The 1-1. That pitch is up and away. I think that gentleman might have caught that ball on the fly as well. It's a nice memory. 2-1 the count. Just got a piece of that slider. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count.
Catch it. Basket catch without a glove.
Reminiscent of my near catch earlier in the ball game up here in the booth.
Wrong.
The 2-2. Fastball 90. That's an angry fastball. 95 miles an hour at strike 3. Broxton, by the way, last work last Sunday. That's why he's out there.
He had no choice on that one. He was hoping he'd foul it off.
That is a big fella.
Tag team wrestler.
He pitched in that ball game. Some of you might have seen it this past Sunday and suffered a tough final inning as Gillespie goes to right field, racing over. To haul it in is Reed Johnson. The New York Yankees touched up Broxton. The game eventually won by the New York Yankees late. It was a safe situation. He couldn't hold on. Hasn't pitched since. Sunday Night Baseball. Here's Augie Ojeda.
Well, they've had a history of pretty good closers, though, huh? This guy, Gagne, going back to my day, Hugh Casey.
And then one of the busiest.
He pitched about every day.
About 3 innings a day. It felt like it anyway.
Remember him? Yeah. Wonder what he's doing now. He's a kinesiologist.
Talking about mechanics and deliveries and ways to stay healthy. Ways to throw 200 innings as a reliever. Make 100 appearances. There won't be many like him again. Or like Jonathan Broxton. He did surrender a home run, but he puts 3 outs in the books. There was never much doubt after about the second inning. This was the Dodgers' night. We will hear from skipper Kirk Gibson after the ball game in his press conference. Will he talk about Flushing, and as Joe did? Let's get it on now to our post-game show where the other Joe is standing.